Hello, everyone, and we're live, and we are enjoying being on Air Meet, and this is a fantastic platform. So thank you so much for joining us. We're back for session 2. Now, 1 second, if everyone just gives me a moment, I am going to bring in our speaker for the second session. As soon as I can locate her, there she is. Let's bring Reina to the stage. Invite her to the stage. Now we're going to be joined by Reina D'costa. There she is. Hello, Reina. How are you?
Hi, I'm fine, thanks. How's everyone?
Very, very good. Now, we are in this session, which is called Which Business Model is Right for You? And the registration process. So what we're going to do is very quickly hand it over to Reina, who's going to take over. I'm disappear. I'm also going to grab Will, who is also here with us. And let's see if we can also move him to hide with me. And then from that space, Reina, you can take over, and I'll see you in just a few moments.
Thanks. Do I begin? Hi, everyone. My name is Reina D'costa. I am a 20-year qualified solicitor and the founder of Bizlaw, which is a holistic, innovative legal services consultancy. I'm very passionate about startups because not just do I provide legal services, I was a startup once, and I really truly want to help startups to grow. And I think it's the way forward with COVID and everybody wanting to become a startup these days. It's a very, very interesting path to consider. So I'm going to present my PDF slides now with regard to the various different models you can have as a startup, and then I'll take questions later. So what are the different business structures you could have when you're starting up? More than 60% of people begin as sole traders and might never move to becoming limited companies. But I'm going to explain today as to why you might want to consider moving to a limited company or a partnership. The structure you choose will have significant implications on the amount of tax you pay, the degree of your personal liability, the amount of administrative work involved, and even your ability to raise finance. Typically, a limited company sounds and looks much more professional as well. And if you start with the wrong setup, it can result with a lot of complications later and require extensive advice to sort out. That would come at a cost to you, a significant cost to you.
Am I still speaking?
So what are the different types of business structures? The sole trader. If you're a self-employed sole trader, you will be working for yourself, and you would register with the HMRC as a sole trader after, say, your business has earned at least £1,000 as a sole trader. As a sole trader, the business is run by you. This is the simplest and easiest form of business to register. You're entitled to keep all the profits as income, but you will be liable to pay tax and national insurance contributions by filing a self-assessment return. You'll be responsible for all the liabilities, and your personal assets could be responsible and liable as well should one of your customers or clients be unhappy with your service and sue you. So that is a risk you take as a self-employed business. It's also hard to raise finance as a sole trader, and it probably is more difficult to sell your business to a buyer down the track because you want to establish your a larger business and you've got goodwill and have various things in place. Be wary of the new IR 35 regulations as well if you're working as a consultant with just one employer, because that could be deemed by HMRC as disguised employment. So if you're truly a business, you need to be having many different clients, and you need to be having control over your hours and how you work, etc. These are various tests that HMRC has a link on their website to help you check if you fulfill. So it's worth doing that test if you're not too sure about that. because the taxes you would pay would be much higher than you would pay if you were, say, a limited company or a business. Now, how do you register as a sole trader? There are 3 ways you can do it. One is complete the online form, which is easiest, obviously. The second would be printing off the form and filling it and sending it to them. And you could also call HMRC and register with them over the phone. Typically, you'd need your national insurance number, your name, your telephone, your email address, the name of your business, postal address, and the type of work you're going to be doing under your business brand. We can assist you with setting up as a sole trader. And we also work with startup accountants who can help you with your filing of your self-assessment tax return if you're not too familiar with how you'd like to do those and you're not comfortable with numbers. Don't forget, you've got to register your trademark as well when you set up. And as Will mentioned, your brand is important. So as soon as you set up, if you don't have your trademark registered, once you've grown your business and marketed it, it could easily be used by a competitor. And that wouldn't be very nice because all your hard work would then be confused with somebody else's business. So it's worth considering. We can help you with trademark registrations as well. And with any consultancy agreements or contracts for services you might need with customers or suppliers. You'd also consider website terms and conditions, a privacy and a cookie policy. You'd need to register with the ICO, which is what all businesses have to do, because you're holding customer data. Now, what is the second structure we're discussing? That's a partnership. You might often decide I start a business with a friend or somebody I really trust or I get along well with, and you might decide to form a partnership. Now, what is a partnership? A partnership involves 2 or more individuals that agree to share in the profits and losses of the business. So you would share the risks, the costs, the benefits, and the responsibilities of running a business with your partner. And they are unincorporated entities. That means the partners would be self-employed. So with regard to a partnership, it's again quite simple, but you would need to have a partnership agreement in place with your partner so that there wouldn't be any problems down the line in terms of who's putting what into the business and what would happen should you want to end working. You would not need to notify Companies House unless it is a limited liability partnership. And you wouldn't need to deal with any administrative or accounting requirements which are required of limited companies, as the partners remain self-employed. So being a partnership, and each partner would need to register again as self-employed with the HMRC, file their tax returns, etc. You'd have to just pay your share, your taxes on your share of the profit. So say it's a 50-50 split, you pay your share on the 50%. And again, the national insurance contributions portion. Now, each partner would be personally responsible as well for paying tax. And if you want to set up a limited liability partnership, it gives the partners the benefit of the limited liability, which just means that if somebody sues you as a business, I'm presuming you'd also have professional indemnity insurance in place for that. I can help guide you on people who can help with that if you need later. Yeah, so it would just limit your liability to the profits of the partnership and not really your personal assets. So a limited liability partnership, or an LLP, is like a partnership, except that the partner's liability is limited to the amount of money they invest in the business. The LLP must be registered at Companies House and with HMRC, and annual accounts must be prepared and filed. Again, to recap, the advantages of a partnership: it may be easier to raise finance for a business if there are multiple partners. The disadvantages: in some partnerships, the partners face unlimited liability for any losses or debts incurred by the business. And managing a partnership can also become difficult if there are differences of opinion between partners, or if a partner wants to leave. We now move to the most popular, which is the limited company. You might just be one person who sets up a personal service company, or you might decide I want to grow and have employees and grow my business down the line, sell it for a profit, etc., and think big. And we can help limited companies various things, including getting advance assurance, funding, and any type of contracts they need to set up. But the initial stages would be that the limited company would need to be set up at Companies House. What is a limited company? A limited company is a privately managed business owned by its shareholders and run by its directors. So say the two friends decide to get together and run a business. They might decide, I want to set up a limited company rather than a partnership. Here they would need a shareholders agreement instead, or a founders agreement instead of a partnership agreement. And with a limited company, the safety lies in the fact that no one can sue you personally for any of your assets. Liability rests with the limited company. The profits will be distributed to the shareholders in the forms of dividends, and you can also consider taking out a director's pension, which is, I think, around up to £120,000 in over 3 years, which is quite tax efficient as well. So we work with accountants who can help you file your tax returns for limited companies too. Once you've decided to form a limited company, you've registered with Companies House, you'd have to also, when registering, consider whether you want to be limited by shares. And to set up a limited company, you need to choose what type of company to set up, whether it's a private company or a public company. Public companies are really large, which are listed on the stock exchange and take funds from the members of the public. So typically it would be a private limited company. You'd also have to supply certain details to help Companies House identify you as a company director, if you're going to be the director. Quite often you might have shareholders who are not directors, and they might have somebody else set up as a director. But in terms of dividends, the dividends would only go to the shareholders and not the director. Typically, you may also decide to be a director and work in the business and take out a salary from the business. And you may want to have a sort of director's employment contract to reflect that, and the fact that you have certain rights as an employee as well. Certain documents such as the Memorandum of Association, relevant forms to fill up as a director and a shareholder, and a person who significantly controls the business, like a beneficial owner, are all required to be filed at Companies House. And you can have articles of association as well, either created bespoke for your company or standard drafts that are available, if it's a very simple business. So to recap, the advantages of a limited company are the limited company's liability is limited to the amount of capital invested in it. This means that unlike a sole trader structure, your personal finances shouldn't be on the line if things go wrong. Having a limited company can make it easier to secure finance and easier to sell at a later date. The disadvantages are there are costs involved with registering and incorporating a limited company with Companies House. It also brings higher administrative burden, such as filing tax returns with HMRC. And if privacy is of particular concern, it's also worth noting that some companies' details, such as annual accounts, are publicly available on Companies House. Coming back to social enterprise, which is the future, I think, and I'm really glad that Pam is involved in one. Social enterprises can take the form of either of these three, sole trader, limited company, or partnership structures, as well as charities. And they are businesses that are changing the world for the better. Like traditional businesses, they aim to make a profit, but it's what they do with their profits that sets them apart. So reinvesting or donating them or creating positive social change. Social enterprises are in our communities and on our high streets. Did you know that coffee shops and cinemas, pubs and leisure centers, banks and bus companies, some of them are all social enterprises? By selling goods and services in the open market, social enterprises create employment and reinvest their profits back into their business or the local community. This allows them to tackle social problems, improves people's life chances, provides training and employment opportunities, supports community, and helps the environment. So here are some stats out here on the different types of social enterprises and the percentages, environmental, economic, etc. And I think, it's really great that social enterprise helping people help each other and connect with each other and form bonds. So finally, I end the presentation liking to give all of you at this event the offer of our free health check, or if you prefer, just a legal consultation, which can be booked via WhatsApp with me. As I mentioned, I'm Reina D'costa, solicitor, 20-year qualified solicitor, and the founder of my own business, Bizlaw UK, which has been running successfully for 9 years. There's no turning back now. And do connect with me on social media platforms. Happy to, advise you on bits and pieces on how I set up my business, if that's what you like help with as well. And I give it back to Sabrina.
Hi there, Reina. Wonderful. That was brilliant. Thank you so much for that. Very, very insightful. And as Reina has said, you can connect with her for the free health check. That's brilliant. And also, of course, make an appointment with her via WhatsApp. Now, we're going to do some Q&A. At the moment, we did have a question come in the live chat saying that what clarifies as a sole trader? Is it a single person run or owner business?
It's both. It is the owner who is a single person who sets up a sole trader. Did I misunderstand the question?
No, I think that's how she's asked it. What clarifies? Is it a single person run or an, I guess, owner owned business? So Carly has...
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. Excellent. So we've got that. I hope that clarified it for you, Leanne. I'm going to ask a question actually and get a little bit more clarity from you, Reina, about trademark registration. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, about logo, about name, because I think that's definitely something very, very important that new business owners should keep in mind and definitely have more information on.
Yes, I've worked with hundreds of startups, and a lot of them don't think of registering their trademark until it's 1 or 2 years down the line. And quite often they come to me saying, oh, somebody's using a similar mark. So it's very important to consider registering your trademark right from day one. Just as Will mentioned, it's your brand, it's your baby. And if it's something unique, I would recommend that you register a logo and a word mark. But if it's not very unique, I would think just doing the logo at least would be a start, because that would be easier to register. Typically, you need to consider an investment of around maybe £670 approximately for a trademark registration with a lawyer to help you. And that would include them applying for the mark and liaising with the registry, choosing which classes that would fit your business, and making the payment to the registry for the filing fee as well. And once the mark granted, which would take I think at least 4 months if there's no objections. Once the mark is granted, it lasts you for 10 years, and you then renew it after 10 years. So it's if you think about it, £670 for a 10-year mark, it's well worth it. Absolutely. And if you do it properly with the lawyer, you know it's going to be working well. But quite often people, register in the wrong classes, they make a mistake, and then they lose their registry fee, and they've got to start all over again.
Fantastic.
So, but provided you know what you're doing, you yourself as well, going to the trademark registry.
Brilliant. So this has set the chat on fire. We've got a wonderful question from Christina. May I please ask if a limited company can switch to a social enterprise?
So that's something I think it might be possible. In fact, Pam might be able to explain more about how she went about forming a social enterprise, because social enterprises can be limited companies as well. I don't know if there's any other speaker, Short Trust possibly, who's going to be talking about social enterprises, Pam?
No. Hi,
Okay.
Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Yes, sorry. So technically, yes, if you are a limited company, you can become a social enterprise. There will be a lot of governance documents that needs to be done, and then you definitely will need to have a lawyer. My company I decided when I created my business, I decided to go as a social enterprise since the day one. And that means that my ethical, my rules, how I'm gonna give back is all incorporated on my governance documents. And that is easier than actually turning a limited company to a social enterprise. But that is possible. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put the contact from Social Enterprise UK, and they are super helpful, and they can give you guidance and instructions of how to become a social enterprise. Just keep in mind the social enterprise commitment is the big difference. If you are a limited company, normally your profits that you have in the whole year as a shareholder normally will go to the shareholder that potentially is yourself. But if you are in a social enterprise, you need to commit that 50% or more of it you reinvest or give away to a social or sustainable cause. And in the case of virtual events experience, we want to reinvest 51% in promoting different social causes like short trust, for example, and helping unemployed events managers to find a new source of income via training, events targeting to them so they can find a new job, like when I lost mine. So social enterprises, I think, is strongly the future because companies need to be more social aware, and companies are looking to measure their social impact. It's a big commitment. It's a commitment for the community and for the future. But it's wonderful, the feeling to do something great like this event and give back at the same time. I will
Thank you
leave
so
now
much,
to
Pam.
Reina. You're
Thank you so
welcome.
much, Pam. Wonderful. So that was a great answer and insight from Pam on social enterprise. We have a question from Shazia. I have registered my startup as a sole trader, and I'm considering switching to a limited company. Will it cost me to make this? Will it cost me to make the switch?
It will cost you to the extent that, yes, you've got to form a limited company. And, if you do it yourself with Companies House, it will cost you less, obviously. If you use professional services, it will be the cost of the professional service provider as well. And there will be certain filing fees, which are fairly nominal when you first set up. But over and above that, you'll have to factor in the annual cost of an accountant for filing the limited company accounts and annual returns, which are compulsory documents that need to be filed annually in limited companies.
Got it. Fantastic. And we've got a question from Adiam. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. When you register as a sole trader with HMRC, they send you an activation code to activate it. Is it a must to activate it if you can log in and verify your account using GOV Verify?
Now, this is something that the startup accountant would be able to help you with because they will be filing these returns for you. Okay. It's not typically the lawyers do, actually, but I should think that, it would be very self-explanatory because I have, registered somebody I know as a sole trader, and, if the activation code comes in, it will explain to you exactly what you need to do. So that should be quite easy to do.
Perfect. Now, this is the last question. And after this question, all of you with your amazing questions with regards to Reina's expertise and experience, you can find her in the lounge and you can pull up a seat, join her at a table and ask her more questions and also how she can support you with your startup business and your business in general, if that, if you have one that's already learning and starting. So, if you haven't yet launched your business, when would you suggest to register your business? Once you start making a profit or before that?
You need to register your business. It depends if it's a limited company or if it's a sole trader. If it's a sole trader, as I mentioned, so for example, say up to the tax year, 4th of April, 2021, you've made a profit of at least £1,000. You're expected to register it as a sole trader business. If it's less than that, it's quite small. But if it's a limited company, I would say before, obviously you set up the company before you start trading.
Fantastic. Okay. I think we do have just a little bit more time because someone put in some interesting questions on the questions tab. So this is from Wendy. If you give away 50%, how does that affect your pricing and competitiveness against other types of businesses? I think that is a question for Pam. So we're going to leave that to Pam to address. And Pam, if you want to get in touch with Wendy, Wendy Dawn. And the next question is from Rachel. What is the maximum a sole trader can earn before having to switch to a limited company? Is there a cap? Is that what you just would have mentioned or no?
No. So basically, there's no such, you don't have to switch to a limited company, basically. You can carry on being a sole trader for life. It's up to you, really, if you want, the pros and cons of being a sole trader vis-a-vis a limited company and what your long-term plans are as a business. As I said, more than 60% of businesses are sole traders in the UK anyway. But you might need to consider VAT thresholds, which is value-added tax, and you only typically register for VAT once your business is earning £85,000, which I think most small businesses won't reach anyway. So you'd also then need to consider whom you're providing services to, because if you're providing services to larger businesses that are VATable, then you can set it off, or you can have zero rate VAT and different schemes available. But if you're providing services to smaller businesses or individuals, they might not want to pay 20% extra for VAT. So you might be better off, not being VAT registered.
Got it. Perfect. So let's see. Carly's like, I have a question on sole trader and securing your business name. Is there time? Do we have time, Reina, for one more? Yeah, we can do it. What's the question, Carly? If she's watching, what is the question on sole trader and securing your business?
Come on,
do it.
So I'm a sole trader myself, and when I did my business name, if you're a sole trader, I set up a dormant limited company to secure my business name, because if I'm a sole trader and someone else has the same name, another person can set up a Lady PA as a limited company, then there's two of us. So is that correct? I've set up two, sole trader and limited, and if I do want to switch to limited, I can then just make it active per se. But
yes,
is that still correct?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea, because you're thinking long term here, and the sooner you move to the limited company, the better, because your liability is zero. Then it's all in the company. It's the company's liability.
Exactly. So I just wanted to get that out there if people need to know that. But
fabulous.
Securing the name.
Just to clarify, at Companies House, when you set up a company, you obviously want your brand to be in your company name, ideally. So you can identify it. So that makes sense, just what you did.
Yeah, great. All right. I'll hide myself.
Thank you, Carly. Thank you so much, Reina. That was brilliant. We had some fantastic questions, and thank you for giving us your advice and insights. Now, for the rest of you, we're going to end the session now, and we'll be back at 3:00 with our first panel, and our only panel for today, featuring Connected and Shaw Trust, our main event charity partners. So be sure to come back for that. But please make your way into the lounge. Find a seat and sit down with Reina at a table, and she's there to answer all your questions. Thank you, Reina, for this session and your fantastic session and your advice and tips and insights. And we will catch you later. Take care, everyone.
My pleasure.
Bye.